Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. So let us continue with some more for loop programmings. So let us start with a program. So it is told to calculate and display the sum of first 7 natural numbers. So in my last video I have already discussed some of the introductory programs regarding for loop. If you have missed it, then here I am leaving an iCard in the top right corner so that you can check it before proceeding into this video. Okay, so let us continue. So as usual, I have begun with class. I have initialized a variable s equals to 0 which will be used to store my sum. So here in the program it was told to calculate the sum of first 7 natural number. So my natural number begins with 1, so my loop variable is initialized with 1, and next is it will go up to 7, and each and every time a natural number is having to be increased by 1. Okay, now what is the repeating statement given here? So what is done here is that every time I am generating a natural number with the variable I, it is added to get the sum and it is stored in S. And finally when the loop ends, my summation will be displayed which is stored in S. So let us see the dry run. So dry run is basically the steps that we would get if we follow this program manually, if we do on our own. So let us see. So our S is initialized with 0. Next our for loop begins with initial value of I equals to 1 and S initial value was 0. So 0 plus I value, that is 1, equals to 1. So 1 is overwritten in S. Next step, I's value becomes 2. S's previous value in the before step we have seen is 1. So 1 plus the new value of I is 2. So 3 is stored in S. In this way, when I value equals to 3, the sum is again calculated, that is sum of S and I. Previous value of S was 3 and new value of I is 3, 6. Next I is 4. So the new summation is 6 plus 4 equals to 10. I equals to 5. So 10 plus 5, 15. I equals to 6. 15 plus 6, 21. And finally I equals to 7. So 21 plus 7 equals to 28. Next I value increases to 8. But it is not satisfying my condition in the for loop. So the loop ends. And next my cursor or my line of execution comes to the printing statement, that is sum equals to where my sum is stored in S. So the value of S is computed and stored as 28. So it will display sum equals to 28. So let us take another program. So it is told to take input a number and display its factorial value. What is a factorial? So factorial basically of a number is from 1 to that number, every number is multiplied. For example, if we take the factorial of 5, then it will have the value of 1 into 2 into 3 into 5. That is from 1 to 5, all the numbers will be multiplied to get the factorial value of 5, which is 120. So let us start with the program. So here we have taken input n. The n will be computed on factorial. So we have to calculate the value of factorial on the value that is given as input n. Okay. Next is f equals to 1. This f I will be utilizing to calculate and store my factorial. Now why it is initialized with 1? Because if we initialize with 0 and we use this f variable in multiplication, then whatever we multiply with 0, the answer will be 0 and hence it will give us a wrong result. So that's why the f should be initialized with the multiplicative identity, that is 1. So what I told, factorial value starts from 1 and it goes up till that number. So that is why I have initialized my I with 1, and up till how much my loop will continue, until and unless my value is equals to n. Now what I am doing, I am repeatedly multiplying and storing it. In the previous program we have seen, so same logic. So let us see once more. So suppose I have taken the value of n as 5, okay, and my f is initialized with 1. So my loop starts. So first time my value of I is 1. So f is computed as 1 into 1. So 1 is again overwritten in f. Next I value is 2. Previous value of f was 1. New value of I is 2. So 1 into 2 is equal to 2. So 2 is stored in f. Now I value is 3. And previous value of f was 2 into 3. The current value of I. So we get 6. I value is 4. It is multiplied with the previous value of f, that is 6, to get 24. I value is 5. It is multiplied with the previous value that is stored in f, it is 24, which is equals to 120. I value becomes 6, but it is no longer supporting my condition here, because I have taken the example n equals to 5. So 6 is not less than equals to 5, isn't it? So that's why the loop terminates, and hence my factorial value that is stored in f will be displayed, which is 120. Okay. Next is we have to display this series up to n terms. So can you recognize this series? So this series, if I say in this manner, I think you will be able to understand. So it is like a square series. 1 square is 1, 2 square is 4, 3 square is 9, 4 square is 16. So in this manner it proceeds up to n terms, where n is the given input. So how will the program be done? So I will take input and store a number in n, and up till how much my looping will continue, until and unless my value reaches n. And what is done here, I told you that the square value is displayed, isn't it? So what I am displaying is that I into I. And one thing to keep in mind here, see that everything is printed in the same line. That's why we are utilizing a print command, not the println statement. And we have also to give a space between the numbers, otherwise we will not be able to recognize. So \t, you remember, we have already discussed in my previous videos. So \t means a tab space. Okay. So let us see the dry run. So suppose n value I have given input as 6. So when I value is equal to 1, what will be printed? I into I, that is 1. When I equals to 2, what will be printed? 2 into 2 equals to 4. When 3 is the value, 9 will be printed. When I value is 4, 16, I value is 5, 25, and I value is 6, 36 will be printed. After that, my condition in the for loop will not be true, hence it will come out from the for loop and my program will end. So this program can have a little bit variation, that instead of displaying this series, I may tell you that you have to print the summation of this series. So what you need to do? Just a little modification. Instead of the printing statement, what we have to do is, we have to give the addition statement here. And the printing statement should be kept outside the for loop, because summation will be computed multiple times, but the sum will be printed at the end for one time. Okay. So what I am doing here is, I am calculating the square value and add it up with the previously stored value. Okay. So you try the dry run on this program on your own and see. If you are having any doubts, then you can mention in the comment area. I will try to clear it. So let us take up another program. So it is told that we have to take input a number and we have to check if it is prime or not. So what is a prime number? Prime number is basically a number which is having only two factors, 1 and the number itself. Now what is a factor? So a number n can be called a factor of m if m is divisible by n. What is mean by divisible? So in the terminology of computer, we can say a number is divisible by another number if the remainder will come 0. That is, if I divide m by n and my remainder comes 0, then I can say that m is divisible by n, and hence I can also say that n is a factor of my m. For example, prime numbers 2, 5, 7 and 91, you will see that these numbers is only having two factors, 1 and the number itself. So let us start the program. So we have taken input a number and stored in the variable n. Now here I am utilizing a variable c, which will be used to store how many factors this number is having. Okay, next my for loop starts. What I told here, that a factor of a number lies between 1 and up to that number. So my for loop starts from 1 and goes up to n. Next is, as I have told, what do you understand by a factor? Factor means the remainder will come 0. So that is what I am doing, that if my remainder comes 0, that means a number is my factor, the I will be my factor, and hence what I am doing here is I am incrementing the factor count. Okay, so my loop ends. So after I get all the factors, if my factor count comes 2, then I can say it is a prime number, otherwise it is a composite or not a prime number. So let us see the dry run. Suppose we have taken the value of n as 5. So my c is initialized with 0 and my for loop begins with 1. Now if I divide 5 by 1, if I divide the number 5 by 1, what will my remainder? 0. So hence I am getting a factor. So my factor count c is increased. Next I value is 2, but 5 is not divisible by 2 because the remainder is not 0. So the factor count won't increase. Next, for I equals to 3, in the same manner, 5 is not divisible by 3, so factor count won't increase. For the same situation, 4, factor count will not increase. But when it comes to 5, 5 is obviously divisible by 5, my remainder will come 0. So the factor count increases. Now I values become 6, which is not satisfying my condition of the for loop. Okay, so that's why my program ends. Now my program comes out of the loop body and it comes to this conditional statement part. So it will check whether my value of c equals to 2. Yes, see here, the latest value of c is 2. So it is satisfying the criteria of prime number. So it will display the message that I have given, that yes, 5 is a prime number. So let us take up for another dry run. Suppose we have taken the number as 4. So as usual, my count for factor c will be initialized with 0. My for loop begins. 4 is divisible by 1, so my factor count increases. When I equals to 2, so 4 is also divisible by 2, so my factor count again increases. Now I equals to 3, this time the remainder is not 0, so the factor count is not increased. But when I equals to 4, the remainder comes 0 and hence my factor count increases to 3. Now I becomes 5, which is not satisfying the criteria now because 5 is not less than equals to 4. So my for loop ends, and this time my value of the factor count is not equals to c because the factor count is 3. We are seeing 3 situations where we are finding a factor of the number 4. So since the factor count is not equals to 2, so it is not a prime number. Okay, understood? So our last program for today is Fibonacci series. Now what is a Fibonacci series? So Fibonacci series generally starts with 0, and what happens 0 and 1? Fibonacci series starts with 0 and 1, and what happens? The next number that we are getting will be the addition of the previous two numbers. So see here, first two numbers are 0 and 1. So 0 plus 1 equals to 1. Okay. So 1 plus 1 equals to 2. 2 plus 1 equals to 3. 3 plus 2 equals to 5. 5 plus 3 equals to 8. So in this manner, what we are seeing that the new number that will be generated is the sum of the previous two numbers. Okay. So let us start with the program. So I have to display the Fibonacci series up to nth term. So up till how many numbers I will print the Fibonacci series. So that is taken as input. Now as I told, my Fibonacci series begins with 0 and 1. So I have taken two variables and initialize them with 0 and 1. Okay, and now what I am doing, I am printing both the value, that is 0 and 1, and in between them I am giving a space so that I can distinguish them. Now my loop begins with 1 and it will go up to n minus 2. Why n minus 2? Because the Fibonacci series first two numbers 0 and 1 I have already taken. So two numbers I have already taken and shown in the output. So I have to show those two numbers less. So that's why n minus 2 it is given as the condition. Now what I told, the third number that will be generated will be the sum of the previous two numbers. That is why C equals to A plus B and the third number is printed. So this will repeat up to n minus 2 times. So how these numbers are generated? So let us see the dry run. So suppose I have taken the value of n equals to 7 and my A is initialized to 0, B is initialized to 1 and C will be my summation will be utilized in C. So C is initialized to 0. So my for loop begins when I equals to 1. I have already printed the 0 and 1. So what I am doing here is I am adding the value of A and B. So A I am representing by the white color and B with the green color so that it will be easier for you to understand. Okay, so the first two value I am adding up and storing it in C and I am printing the value of C. Second step, what happens, look at here is, what was my second number in the previous step that will be stored as the first number, and what was my third number in the previous step that will be stored as my second number. Okay, so see 0 plus 1, then that one I have added to get the new number. Next the second number is stored as the first number and third number is stored as the second number. So in this way I am proceeding. Okay, so I equals to 2. So the previous two value is taken. So C value and B value are taken. Next I equals to 3. Then the previous value of B is stored in A and the previous value of C is stored in B to get the number 3. In this manner these numbers are generated. Okay, when I equals to 4, C is having the previous two values, that is 2 and 3, to add it up and get the answer as 5, which will be shown. Next I equals to 5 and the previous two values are added, that is 3 and 5. So see, it is going in a diagonal manner. Okay, so B's value is stored in A, C's value is stored in B. Okay, in this manner this series will be printed. Hope you have understood. Okay. So if you are having any doubts, you mention it in the comment area. Okay. See you soon in my next video. Bye bye.